Hello and welcome. This is the Climate Voices podcast, and I'm your host, Omesa Mokaya. I'm sure you've heard young people around the world saying the older generation has failed the planet, and indeed all of us. As the older generation stumbles and fails to address the challenges that threaten our own existence, the younger generation that worries about their long life ahead is rising and taking reins in forging a more sustainable future. Young people across the world have taken matters into their own hands and are not just talking about change, but are also making it happen. And that's why I'm excited to launch a new series on the Climate Voices podcast called the Voices of the Future series that will specifically spotlight and amplify voices of the young leaders that are weaving environmental conservation and sustainability into the fabric of their youthful lives and their communities. Each episode on this series will be a success story that highlights and shares their motivation behind their organizing journey, lessons they have learned along the way, and the dreams they have for a planet that forms the basis of their interest in environmental organizing. So joining us today on this debate episode is a remarkable high school student, Angela Fu from Malden High School in Malden, Massachusetts, who is a passionate advocate for environmental conservation and currently a member of a program that I lead called the Youth Action Collaborative, spearheaded by Clean Water Action. So welcome to the show, Angela.
Hello, I'm Angela Fu from, like you said, from Malden High School. I'm a senior this year, and currently I'm kind of nervous. So I like to thank him for inviting me to this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Angela. You shouldn't be nervous, actually. You're doing something very exciting, so you should be actually proud of it. So from the few past couple of months that I've had a pleasure of spending some time with you and other, young people who are taking part of the Youth Action Collaborative, I know that your dedication towards shaping a sustainable future is nothing short of inspiring. And as we starting this series, where we'll be diving into the world of youth activism and, in the aim of discovering what the next generation of future problem solvers like yourself are doing in the planet. I feel passionate and I feel that I'm lucky to be part of this journey. So, but before we dive into that conversation, I know you already said your name and you're a student from Malden High School, but can you briefly talk a little bit more about yourself and what kind of activated you into this journey of environmental organizing or stroke activism?
Well, here's myself as a person. I'm kind of someone who enjoys like creative outlets to express myself. I've enjoyed like art and I recently got into baking, so it's been really fun. But when I was a kid, I was in like I think middle school. I'm hearing a story about a group of activist groups changing a system in Malden. We used to have a bunch of plastic bags. It used to be kind of free in grocery stores and like other buildings. But then this group saw that plastic was such a problem in Malden. It just was littering all over the streets. So they decided to do something about it by like increasing the cost by 25 cents. So instead of them being free at grocery stores, they're now costing money. Like just a little bit more, but you can see like the immediate change. Like people at first were like outraged by just these bags costing a little more, but I think I saw a reduction in plastic use because most people bring their own reusable bag now, like cotton or some just leftover bag from the house. And I saw my family doing it as well. Instead of like going to the grocery store and buying the plastic bag, we try to bring our own bag. We have like a tote bag or like some just giant bag to carry our groceries. So I was like, wow, this group of kids could do something so invaluable to like help our planet. I was like, wow, that's such a small change, but it made such a big impact. And for these kind of kids to think of these ideas and make it come to life made me like, oh, I could do that as well when I was in like middle school.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. We all have that one moment that, happens in life and you're like, I have to do something. You see something and it sparks your interest and you move that towards that journey and you want to be involved and do something better about yourself. So, I do like your story, which makes me like want to ask, as you have been involved in this journey through your personal experience, is there like something that you can say that is the one thing that sparked that interest in you, and that one moment in your life that you have been taking part in environmental activism that you're like, this is one moment that I will want to pass this kind of information to other people, other young people that are involved in this journey?
I kind of began, I mean, though my interest began in like environmental stuff is when I was like little. I didn't do anything until I was at least quite older in high school. Like in my junior year, we were talking about environmental activism, and our project that year was on air quality around Malden. So it was kind of my first project on like environmental justice and activism. For the first time, I actually got the chance to create change within my community. And one of them, so do like programs like YAC and a program called A Voice, Asian Voices of Community. Yeah, what's it called? Community to like community activism or something like that. But they gave me the opportunity to organize an environmental something environmental related to help my community. And it was for the first, so we did like kind of data collecting around like air quality in Malden. And through that data, we were able to analyze them all and see any correlations between the environment and the impact in air quality. And through that, we were able to create a presentation to present to officials and Malden officials and see what their to tell them about solutions to help art improve the air quality in Malden. It made me, it's my first ever experience kind of organizing an environmental like project, but it made me want to pursue this like career in a more like deeper level.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, is there a current project that you're taking part in that you want to share with us? And I know you're taking part in the Youth Action Collaborative program that I'm leading at the moment at Malden High School. But what else are you doing in terms of your journey in environmental organizing, and what skills, especially, are you learning from the Youth Action Collaborative program and any other program that you're taking part in at the moment?
So currently, through the same program, eVoice, we are currently doing a project on food justice, and it made me realize how closely food justice is related to like the environment, especially with composting and sustainability, like living sustainably. So currently, we have a project of kind of this big event where people get to learn about different like topics around food justice, and one of them being planting and growing stuff, like growing seeds, and also decomposting and educating people on how to like recycle properly and also compost properly in composting. And I never knew how to compost beforehand, but due to the hard work of our like our other members, they showed me like, oh, this is like these little steps. Is step one, step two, step three, and just how to compost. So on May 31st, we're planning to host the event. So I hope a lot of people come. We did a survey recently to get data around kind of on the people on their knowledge on topics of food justice, but mainly on composting and also the distance from like supermarkets and the reason why people buy certain foods or throw them away because food waste is such a big problem in Malden. I remember hearing stories from my mom that the Malden High School would throw away all their lunches. Like after the end of the day, so much food would be thrown away. And my mom
Yeah.
was like always so sad. She's like, oh, people could like eat these food, but we're not giving them away.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can you share a little bit about your experience with the Youth Action Collaborative as well? I mean, you have shared what you've done with the composting project and how you're passionate about that. But what has been your experience with the Youth Action Collaborative since you started the program sometimes, like it was in February?
In youth action, I was kind of nervous because I've never done anything really like just was solely focused on environmental because I was like, oh, I want to try this out because I did it beforehand and I want to learn more. I was happy to know I got to learn more through all the really good speakers who educated me on like how I as a person could impact my community and through my knowledge of just environmental issues that I wish to like spread out. Like I got more public speaking knowledge and how my dance and the way I speak could help me create change within society. And also I got to learn on like more in-depth topics like with water quality and also like lead pipes. And beforehand, I knew a little bit about lead pipes through like in school, but I didn't know like really strong impacts these like lead could have on a person because mainly I focus on maybe like animals, but I didn't know people could get like brain function, like lower IQ and like the effects and just on children in
Yeah.
general. So I love that there's so many speakers, well, like educated speakers that could just give me more knowledge on these topics I'm just unaware of in my life. But I also love that it shows just different ways for me to get involved in my community and also ways to like reduce my environmental footprint. I think
Yeah.
for what through the electricity and take by taking the bus, I can reduce my like increase my efficiency. I think that I said. And what was I forgot the name of the electrical company can like switch. They can just help just
Oh, you mean
lower.
the massive program?
Yeah, that one. I love that the program just provides me so much opportunity to like learn, and
Mhm.
I love the people that are also just excited to just learn with me. So it's a nice environment.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you have gotten that opportunity to also learn from the guest speakers that we've had coming into Malden High School to speak to you about, some of the work that they are doing, some of the programs that they are leading in the community, and also getting to learn from the skill sessions. Yeah, so in your journey, in environmental organizing as a young person, one thing I like to say is when I was a young person, when I was in high school, first of all, I'm so proud of, the work that you all are doing because I can't say I did as much when I was in high school. So I'm so proud of all of you. So during this journey, since you started this, there are some challenges that you have been facing as a young activist that you like to address. And is there a way that you have maybe addressed some of those?
Some of I think it's the lack of care from like officials to push for environmental like change.
Yeah. There's
And
always that
yeah.
apathy, right? And
It's
lack
always
of interest.
they don't really care because they always see it's good enough right now, but I always think it could be better. I remember talking to I don't want
Mhm.
to be rude to our mayor, but I remember talking to him and I remember him clearly saying, "Well, it's pretty good. It's like we're the best." But I'm like, if we're the best, that doesn't mean we could be better because
Yeah,
there's still issues within Malden surrounding like air quality. There's certain spots, especially we lack green space, so the air quality will always just be lower. And I just really find it really sad the lack of disinterest in pushing for better with like environmental friendly measures for our community to enjoy. I wish people would care more about the environmental like justice issues because I see in the news that the world is just getting hotter and it's clearly shows that it's like getting hotter. We have more forest fires and like more people getting dying from heat stroke, especially the elderly, and there aren't any measures to counteract that or just fix the problem in general.
yeah.
Like in Maui recently, there was a giant forest fire that killed, I think, thousands of people, and I feel like there's been a lack of incentive to push to change this. And also it's just sad that it takes so many years for laws to be pushed to improve the environment. It just takes a long time. And by the like end of it, people don't care anymore. So I
Yeah.
wish maybe it just be a faster process and these like big companies don't just like oil such a big grip on the economy that it's really hard to push for change. And maybe like some solution is these young people around that just continue to like fight even though some people like the older don't care anymore. The young people still care because they're like, we are gonna be the one living in this future. So we're gonna continue pushing toward for like a better planet and for like maybe one day we can maybe eat fish, maybe our people to have more trees. And it makes me inspired to just continue pursuing environmental sciences. Yeah.
That sounds very exciting, and you rightfully mentioned that the young people are the ones who are going to live longer to see all these impacts. And I like that you're actually recognizing that the young people have something that they can do, and they need to have a say in this, in influencing how the future will look like. So, as a young person, what is that ideal future that you will want to have of the planet, for instance? And what do you think young people like yourself should do in terms of addressing these challenges that we are seeing at the moment?
For my visioning, I remember reading a story. I forgot the name of it. It was such a good story. Just about the effects of climate change. And they said our possible future is having no more animals, very little fishes, except for
Hmm.
turtles and jellyfishes, because they can live in really just any conditions. And I don't want to see that future. I want to see a place where instead of us working against them, though, like the planet, I want to work with the planet. We're increasing infiltration through adding more pavement, and I would love for more places with just green space in general. Maybe even though it's just like such a small change, because this we have so much pavement and concrete from the one for driving and transportation, and I wish it was maybe a little more walkable and for more just trees everywhere because it's just so sad. Everything just looks like a building everywhere, but just very little trees and just very unwalkable from place to place sometimes. And if you're gonna walk, there's just so little shade. You're walking for distance with just no shade. You're smelting all day. It
Yeah.
gets me. I remember walking to, I think, to meet Marissa from the MRA, Mystic Watershed, and I was so hot. It was so sunny that day. So there's no shade in sight. So I would love just maybe more trees being planted and the care for being spreading the awareness. Be like, oh, trees are good or they're not causing havoc. Like, 'cause a lot of people worry they're gonna fall down or just the branches will just harm their building, but they're a great source to not only like reduce CO2 levels, but also to just liven the place up. And it's just so nice to have it's just giant tree, just once just a history. I think trees have a lot of history.
It's very much true what you're saying. Yeah, so is there a role you think the young people can play in this?
I think they can. I think we do care about these issues more than the older generations because I think we're also more awareness of it. And we were taught this in school and we're like, oh, this is a
Yeah.
big change happening to our society.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first people, I think in the past, they cared about just making money. It
Yeah.
was just a time, it's a poor time. But now we're like kind of a little more stable. We see that our impact from the past is affecting our future and we want to make change. I think I saw a lot of people fighting against like cutting down trees because they're like, oh, we want this. We kind of need this to help our planet and our restore our future. So I think our voices are loud enough to do something. I think we have the chance to just create just small changes. It doesn't have to be big right away, but I think seeing all these kind of groups like the Sunshine Group and I think UMass Amherst
Mm-hmm.
being just rallying up. Well, in you have spoken about like you doing a protest against like oil company in Ghana, was it?
No, in Kenya, yeah,
In
we were
Kenya.
involved in campaigns, yeah, against
Yeah, and
against the government's interests in establishing a coal power plant, and that was very impactful, seeing how young people, especially rising and going to the streets and demanding that the government actually acts on issues that are going to affect us in future. So I really like that you're also doing what you're doing in your space as well.
yeah, and I think as also with the use of social media, even I know a lot of people talk about like bad about social media, but I think with social media, people are able to learn more about the effects like climate change has on our planet. And I think, and also it's able to spread information so much faster and also spread awareness and also allow people to organize campaigns just so much more faster. Like people tell you, oh, meet up in this location. We're gonna come here now. We're gonna this food, this peaceful. We're just gonna walk around. And I
Yeah.
think it's a useful tool to just gather people together to unite against one sole idea, and it's great.
It seems like you have some pretty interesting ideas and amazing ideas that you can share with young people. Actually, I wanted to ask a question. Is there like any advice you could give to any young person that will want to be involved in this journey of environmental organizing or environmental conservation that doesn't necessarily know where to start based on your experiences?
I think it's just to look around your community in your city for just environmental groups that can get you involved because I think the first steps is just to find people that has similar ideas as you and have the power to just organize events to like maybe educate others about who are unaware of these just systemic issues that could easily be changed if there's enough people willing to fight against a system. I think getting involved is just the first thing. Maybe look at your high school, maybe find a club to join and maybe do programs like YAC or maybe establish one yourself, like older people will establish one and to
Hmm.
allow the younger generation to get involved like actively. I think it's great to start young because most of the people I see who are making these changes are like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, like 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I want to see this. I don't want this to happen. And they're like, let's just start change. These I think can be just small changes. I think just having one voice is all that matters, and having a group of it will just enforce others, like just companies or just like the officials to realize, oh, this is a problem, and I think we should just do something about it.
That's very powerful. Every young person has something they can do, and it doesn't mean that we don't have anywhere to start. We actually have somewhere to start, getting involved, like you mentioned, in programs like the Youth Action Collaborative. And luckily, you've been taking part in this, and we'll be having this program again in the fall. So other young people that are out there in Malden, we like to encourage them also to come take part in that and get to learn about all these skills that they will use in their organizing journey. Yeah, so thank you so much. I love your call to action. Perhaps is there anything that I left out that you'll want to share with the young people or with whoever is listening to this? Any call to action to anyone, not just necessarily the young people, but anyone who's listening to this? Can be, policymakers or people in the community or the older generation.
Maybe as a goodbye, I would like to thank Omesa for having this opportunity to just speak my mind out. It's been really fun. I never had this space before, and also maybe get involved. And the first to any young people who are listening, just look around your community, or you can be the change. Maybe you can be the one to begin change, like that 6-year-old I saw. Or no, was it 9?
Yes.
9 in Michigan.
Flint, Michigan, yeah.
In Michigan. I think anyone can just start, and maybe for the older people, like the policies, I think you should be a little more lax and think about the young people, because even though you think it can be put off later, it can't be, and we are aware of this. So I want other young people to be involved with environmental groups like YAC. So if you're in the Malden High School, join it. Join.
So any young person who's listening, don't lose hope. First of all, the future is very bright. Like I usually call you guys, you're the future problem solvers. We want to move away from that narrative of problems to creating solutions. And I like that you guys are already doing that, and you're already encouraging other young people. So thank you so much. It's been really fun having you on this program and being the first one to record this episode, and sharing out the work that you're doing with other young people, with all our listeners. Like I told you, I always tell everyone who comes to the show, our podcast has an audience in over 40 countries. So we're going to share this, so your voice is as important as anyone else's voice. So thank you so much again for being on the show, and until next time, this was the Climate Voices podcast, and thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
It was fun.